to Unity of Verde Valley. And again, I just want to express my gratitude for the wonderful celebration we enjoyed yesterday at the women's retreat. It was just magnificent. You all just lit up the place. And as you know, this month of October, our theme is the cleaning of the hearth, getting ready for the holidays that are coming up. And where does that begin? It begins within ourselves, doesn't it? Jacob, please. So I'm going to quit telling you the stories. I'll just stick with the cartoon. So young Master Lee was just tired of the life in the fast lane in the real world, whatever the real world is. He just wanted to go into a quiet space and align himself with the presence and really understand who and whose he was and just put all of that out. So he finds a monastery of monks where they can only say 2 words every 5 years. And he says this is just perfect. It'll be quiet. So he spends his first 5 years there, during which period of time he notices he's got a small, tiny, thin, flimsy mattress on the floor. It's cold. He has no pillows. He has no blankets. And so at the end of the first 5 years, he goes before the master monk, and he's called upon to say his 2 words, and his 2 words are more blankets. And so they accommodate him. They give him more blankets. And so things are going better, but he realizes that he's losing a lot of weight. He does not like the food. There's very little food, as a matter of fact. And all of this about quietness and no food and just the austere life is starting to wear on him a little bit. So the second 5 years is up, and he goes up for his 2 words, and his words are more food. So they accommodate him. He starts to get more food, and he likes the food, and he's got blankets, but he's starting to miss the life with his family, the life that he was here enjoying before. He feels isolated from everything. You see, the grass is always greener, on the other side. But he doesn't want to seem ungrateful for all the things they've done for him, so he lets it go another 5 years, and he goes up before the head monk for his 2 words, and he says, I quit. And he says to him, I am not surprised. You've done nothing but complain ever since you came here. Next, please. So the practice of going within, it is not a new practice. Jesus often withdrew to lonely places, not lonely in a negative sense, but just where he could be with himself as the presence of the presence and go within. And Myrtle Fillmore withdrew to her closet. For those of you that were here for the beautiful Mother's Day reenactment of Mother Myrtle, she went into her closet and she took a picture of Jesus and put it on the chair and read all of the positive passages affirming that she is a child of God and she does not inherit sickness because she had suffered with tuberculosis her whole life, and she was given 6 months to live, and she had 2 little boys when she was 42 years old, and heard someone talk about the healing power of mind. And after this process, she was never sick again a day in her life. In fact, when she made her transition in her 80s, she was not sick. She walked around Unity Village saying her goodbyes, saying her thanks to the people that worked there, and she went to sleep and didn't wake up. So we are all children of God, and we do not inherit anything that we feel is a deterrent to our magnificence. And Reverend Linda Martella Whitsett, she's a Unity minister and she is an author. She, like perhaps so many of us, have had issues with children or other members of our family. And she was longing to be reunited with her adult daughter. They had had a tremendous rift. And so what she did, instead of talking to her or trying to fix the situation, she prayed and she created what she wrote, a hearth of compassion within herself. And little by little, without any interaction with her daughter, things started to come together. And I have to say that as a mother, I too have had a similar experience. And it was resolved very much in the same way after months and months and months of feeling the tearing, but just praying and knowing that we are all one, so much more so in family. The phone call came, and that was many years ago, and the phone calls and the hugs have not stopped since. So the work happens within. Next one, please, Jacob. So we have this thing, this balance, this yin-yang always, because going within is quiet, introspective. It is when we deny, at least for the time being, the effect of what goes on outside of us. But with the going without is our daily life. We really don't go out to look for any of that stuff. But the outness is what we're within. And so it's very difficult to ignore that. And it becomes very difficult to carve out time to say, what I'm seeing and what I'm experiencing is not the real truth. You see, we are spiritual beings that have come to have a human experience. And yet we tell ourselves all the time that we need to be more spiritual. We don't need to be more spiritual. We need to know how to bring that spirituality into the human experience, where it's really difficult. There's gravity, there's space-time, there's other people, there's traffic, there's rules, you know. So it is not that we're not sufficiently spiritual. Ability to be more tender-hearted with our own humanity and recognize that really we are spiritual beings, and we discover that within. No matter how quickly we race through things, I've been telling people lately, because I've been so busy, I'll get to you, I've almost caught my tail. And so no matter how fast we swirl, even if we catch our tail, which I almost have caught it, you know, it's happening within. And I remember that as I'm chasing my tail. And if nothing else, that comes as a great comfort, especially during these times where we're bombarded with information, to-dos, lists. The world is getting busier and busier, it seems, but it isn't. There's just more and more people in it. And we have more and more quick access to information. And with that, we feel more accountable to respond to different stimuli that come to us, and it is just becoming more faster paced. There's still in the day, but there's so much more, it seems, that we need to do in order to be able to stay grounded within things that maybe we need to deny some of that stuff that's going on the outside. Maybe we need to learn the blessed, blessed word of no. Next, please. So we look beyond the outer to the inner truth of being. And so that's from Fillmore's Metaphysical Bible Dictionary. So what does it mean? We think, and I've always thought, well, I'm going within. But the way you go within is not by denial, but by looking beyond everything else and finding ways to anchor your truth and authenticity to. And it's a little bit of a different practice. And I know that for me, after I looked this up, it's kind of shifted my focus. because I've always been one that when we go within, we go within. It's never occurred to me to look beyond the truth that I see, to find that quiet space. But Reverend Dr. Michael Beckwith tells us we do not see the world as it is. We see it as we are. And how meaningful is that? Putting those two statements together, looking beyond the outer to see the inner truth. What are we looking beyond? We're looking beyond our definition of good, bad, wanted, not wanted, judgment. We talked about that yesterday. We were being judgmental of the shapes of rocks. And it was funny because it was a mirror for ourselves. You know, none of us have ever been a rock, and here we are judging rocks. And so we need to see the world as we, not as we are, but as it is. The rock is the rock. What happens is. And we need to clear our own lens to be able to see the truth beyond all the effects that are around us. Next one, please. So in wanting to be good, because we've all been taught that we have to be good, we miss the truth of what that means when we put others first. You know, that's what we've been taught. Do, do, do. Others, others, others. Service comes first. But we all know an empty container has nothing to offer. That we must first fill in our own selves with goodness, with love, with kindness, with compassion, and turn that first of all towards our own selves before we can pour that out onto others. And so what happens, we do so much for other people, and we haven't done very much to nurture ourselves. Then we start to feel resentful, God bless you, cornered, helpless, depleted of energy. And so who do we blame? Everybody out there. Who did this? We did this. Why did we do it? Because we wanted to be good. And no one appreciated us. No one helped us help them. In fact, they ignored our advice. You know, let's not try to be good. Let's not want to be good. Let us know that no matter how we behave, inherently we are good. We are created in the likeness and image of God. And as the song said, God is good. We are good. We don't have to try to be good, and we don't have to be resentful to others when they don't recognize our goodness. Let us begin by being good to ourselves, and then it will just flow out. Ask with an open heart and an open mind, why did you say that? Why do you feel that way? It's so eye-opening if you do that without any expectations. You will hear and learn things that never crossed your mind before. And all of a sudden, the person that said something that you wish hadn't said it is the person that was your teacher and gave you a new way to look at things. Next one, please. So we know that everything is energy. And we vibrate at like energies. This is the radio frequency. This is how the microphone works. This is how the song and the video all work together. And I don't know how many of you are familiar with the work of Musser. Musser was a Japanese scientist. And he said that water is the mirror that has the ability to show us what we cannot see. Blueprint for feelings, emotions, and vibrational energy. And what his work was about is directing either positive energy or negative energy at water. And as it crystallized and froze, it froze in some of the most incredibly beautiful divine images. And as hatred was directed at it, or water that, for example, surrounded a corpse that had been murdered, and he was able to look at that, had just twisted, dark, angry, asymmetric, imbalanced forms. The kinds of forms that would make you feel ill at ease. And the next one, please. So here's an example. This is the water at Fujiwara Dam, and this water was contaminated. And after a Buddhist monk continued to offer prayers over that water for an extended period of time, this is what those water molecules looked like. Now we are 90 some odd % water, I don't know, 95, 97, something like that. So when we direct negative energy at ourselves, so where would we want to be? But what happens when someone that we dislike, that is doing things that we don't like, we direct more negative energy at them because of that? What do they become more like? And so do we not have a responsibility to recognize that not only are we a container of divine energy, but we are transmitters of divine energy. And so as these transmitters, when we talked about forgiveness a couple of Sundays ago, what is it that we're transmitting? We are transmitting love and healing. We have the ability to make ourselves, make this world, make another person transition, shift from this to that. So when we are inherently good and we bring in thoughts of I'm not good enough or so-and-so upset me, we're bringing ourselves backwards, aren't we? To that which we don't want. Jacob, please. So with everything being vibrational, we also treat other people how to treat us. Now what does this mean? If I have an idea about myself that I have been a victim and I am living in a victim consciousness, people aren't going to be respectful. People are going to continue to treat me in the way in which I don't want to be treated. But the thing is that the universe, its response is always yes. So if I say the Eeyore thing, I love doing the Eeyore. And I don't matter. And I expect Pooh to come and lift me up of my Eeyore-ness. But if I don't really feel that Pooh is going to do that, no Pooh will come and do it, and I'll feel defeated. I have to feel within myself that there's something that wants to break out of this. Nothing will ever happen, quote unquote, despite us. It is a reflection of us. So be very careful what signals you send out. I've practiced this in small ways at the grocery store. I just sometimes, when I go and stand in line in the grocery store, I practice how I change my vibrational energy. And sometimes people will just say wonderful things. They'll strike up a conversation. They'll tell me about something. And sometimes I just practice making myself smile. Because just, this isn't going to hurt me or anybody else. And I'll notice that someone will nearly run a cart over my toes or they'll try to get in line in front of me. This really worked because, I've been a student of science of mind and of metaphysics for many, many years now. And so we read this stuff, but when I'm in pain or when I'm in joy and things are happening, I can't have that objective view. And so you can take tiny little innocuous scenarios and practice. Because we're really asking people to believe a lot. We're saying it's not about you, it's not about other people. All is God and all is good. And we don't want to blame anybody or shame anybody to say, well, it's your fault if people are mean to you. People don't want to, they're already suffering. We want to lift them out of that. But if you want to practice in these small ways, you will be able to see it. And because we are all vibrational energy, and we can control the vibration that we put out. Next, please. That's right. So when we return to the hearth, we rewrite our own patterns. We start tending the flame within us because now we've taken responsibility. Now we know what we know and we know how it works. And we can say to ourselves, I matter. I am the sanctuary and I am home. And I've chosen this topic of forgiveness and clearing the hearth for the sanctuary before the holidays, because the holidays can be a very trying time for many of us. We're either with people that some of them we may or may not like, people we love we may not be able to be together with because of distance, money, circumstances. People we don't like seem to present themselves. You know, and so I thought, wouldn't it be wonderful if we understood these things objectively before we're triggered in that way? So that when these things happen, because they will happen, that you remember that you are spirit having a human experience. Maybe you can micro-tweak your vibration. Maybe you can walk away. Maybe you can do both. Or maybe you can just embrace the person in the situation and be the student rather than the teacher and see what they have to say and what you have to gather from that. There is a place inside each and every single one of us that has never been hurt and that will never be hurt. And that is always that place of God that was in the song that we heard, that we listened to earlier. So know that you're always. So we speak to ourselves the way in which Myrtle spoke to her lungs. I'm a child of God, and I do not inherit sickness. I'm a child of God, and I deserve good. I am a child of God, and I am lovable. I am a child of God, and I am inherently abundant. We affirm our divine identity the way in which Reverend Linda did, and during the silence of estrangement. During periods of estrangement, which come up during the holidays, the fix is not to go up to the person and try to tell them what went wrong, where you're sorry, what they did. If they could just see that, it would be okay. Just release it. We did some wonderful, wonderful work with water and rocks yesterday. And rocks would seem to block the path of water. But the water just goes around it, completely undisturbed. During times of white water and turbulence, the water might go over the rock. But then the rock is still standing there. The water is not upset by the rock. And the rock is not upset by the water. Recognize what is yours to do and do it in peace. The rock doesn't try to make the water more like the rock. The water doesn't try to, they're fine the way they are. No one's trying to be like the other. It is so important that we recognize and respect this divine individuation in everyone. Even if on some level we wish they were different, thank God they're not different. Because if they were different, if they were different in some way that would be like us, that we would approve of them, then what would you have to learn? How could we be so colorful? How could we each be that spark of the divine that's individuated? And we need to withdraw like Jesus did, not as an escape, which is easy to do sometimes, but to restore ourselves. We live in such a beautiful place where we can withdraw in nature and be reminded through the beautiful colors and the sounds of the Verde River and that the world, that is the truth of the world. That is where we live. Not in the parking lots, not on Highway 260, not at the grocery store, certainly not at Walmart, although there is God at Walmart because we need it. But, we need to know where we are and whose we are, and we have those opportunities here. I have friends that live in big cities and maybe have to drive half an hour to be at a park or in a quiet place to enjoy nature. And the sky, the air might still be polluted, and there could be hundreds, if not thousands, of people trying to find that same little speck of solitude. How grateful should we be that we live in such a beautiful place where we are surrounded by the reminder of God at all times. And so as we shift our own vibration, the world will begin to respond. It doesn't happen instantly. It's gradual, but it's honest. And if you don't instantly get to where you want to be, go within. Maybe you're not getting there because it's always this or better. So take a look at where you are. There could be just hidden gems in there that you could be overlooking because in your mind it needs to be different or you need to be someplace else. Always be completely open. What is the good in this for me? Next, please. So when we tend the hearth within, we affirm always, I matter. I am sanctuary. I am home. This is home. This is my body temple, and this is my home. And so we, each and every single one of us, have been blessed with a divine home, our body temple. That is our sanctuary. That is where we are safe. And so we stop trying to rescue others from discomfort, and we start to rescue ourselves from the distortion of the world that we see. The world that we see through our own distorted lens that begins to spiral and spiral and spiral. We just stop that. And as we shift this vibration, as it tends to, the angst around us intensifies, but for us, you'll find that it dissolves. You can be an island in the storm. You can be that center of peace. You can be that star in the dark sky. In fact, in that dark sky, you're even brighter. So this is what is ours to do at this time in the world. And we are left with clarity, compassion, and very sacred neutrality. No judgment. Jacob? It says in the Bible, in the Sermon of the Mount, let your yes be yes and your no, no. I mentioned in the beginning that wonderful little holy word, no. It doesn't require an explanation. Yes, we never, if somebody asks us something and we say yes, we don't feel compelled to say, yes, because we just say yes. But if it's no, because we're trying to be good, we have to explain that I really would rather say yes, but I can't. Just no. There's nothing wrong with, and the best part about it is if you remember what you were like as children or if you have kids or grandkids, if ever you explain something to them, they have something to debate. They think if they can overcome that objection, then the no will turn into a yes. So if we can just say no with love, there's the vibration of no, it's okay. We don't have to say no. And so remember, as we're asked over and over and over to show up for things and do things, and this will become so overwhelming. Sometimes we're so grateful when the holidays are over. We can always say no. Charles Fillmore taught us that we're each a center of divine expression. We are not a passive victim. Don't do things you don't want to do. You will become resentful of others, of course, because you did it for them. Don't do it. Protect that holy space, your holy heart. You're inside your body temple. And Ernest Holmes reminded us that thought is creative, and we have to align with those thoughts that are based on truth, not in drama. And so I've noticed sometimes in my own life and in the life of others that things just come in waves of drama. And it tells you that you are in that space, in that vibrational space. Don't affirm that all things come in threes, unless they're good. Just change your vibration. Recognize that for what it is. Align with the truth. And next, please. The holiday season does amplify these distortions. Our family roles resurface. Expectations multiply. Parties, dinner, gifts, money, gift wrap, bows, all these different things. Many years ago, I had the idea that I would sew pillowcases out of Christmas-type fabric, and the same year we'd recycle gifts in those. Now I see that those are even available on Amazon, okay? We live in a world where the environment is so precious. We don't have to buy rolls of gift paper and gift boxes. It's the gift itself that we're giving. Find some natural way that's not stressful of passing it forward. Guilt, obligations, overdoing, we tend to look at that as love. The more we do, the more it must mean that we love. That is so depleting, because then we have nothing left for ourselves, and then we have nothing to give to others. And then in that state we become Eeyore, and then all kinds of bad things happen because it's the energy we're in. It's a repetitive cycle that we do not need to repeat. So in this teaching, in New Thought, we offer relief from the compulsion to rescue or fix, because there's no one that needs to be rescued or fixed. Everyone is fine. That doesn't mean we don't help people. I mean rescue or fix. We don't have to absorb their discomfort to show them that we really love them. We just need to walk with them in compassion. That's what empathy is, walking in compassion. We don't have to feel their pain. We can help them feel our love and our grace. We are not the battleground for other people's unresolved pain. And we do not have to give ourselves up to do the splits over the fence to be that bridge of peace. We don't. We can offer warmth, love, and compassion by not burning ourselves out. And that is going to be the best way to be that positive radiance of God in the upcoming events of the holidays that begin with next month. Next, please. So the sanctuary we've been seeking is not out there. It is within. Go out with an open heart and invite others in. Extend your vibration of love. Our hearth is not a place but a practice. And we are the keepers of our heart's practice. And we have to tend it. We have to trust it. We have to return to it. Because when we do so, we don't just find that place of sanctuary. We become that holy place of sanctuary, not just for ourselves, but for others. Jacob? So this holiday season, as we begin with November, and I always look at Halloween as being the first to trigger the sequence of magical opportunities of joy and sharing and giving that we call the holiday season, I invite you to be blessed and safe and live in the sanctuary of your own heart. And now, I would like to invite us into prayer. As we turn inward, maybe looping over and above everything around us and the thoughts, but coming back within, I invite you to see your inner sanctuary. Whatever it might look like for you, but it is safe. It is warm. It is whole, abundant, healthy, joyous, full of energy. It is good and so good. It is the place of the indwelling God. It is that point of light of spirit landed in your body temple. And it is always there. No matter how we cycle and circle and interact, this is the indwelling place of ourselves as the divinity that we are here to manifest. And so I invite you in this moment and in your spiritual practices to ground yourself. I invite you to pick a word, a feeling, a taste, an image that links and connects with that. And I invite you to remember it. I invite you to remember it at moments of lower vibration, to elevate the vibration of the situation. I invite you to remember it for those times that maybe you need to cross back into the holy, peaceful sanctuary of the divine that you are. And know that this exists in every person. Look beyond the flaws and the so-called differences and defects, and look at them as gifts. Look at them through different eyes. And transform them, not by changing them, but by changing how you look at them, by the energy you send, like in Masaru Emoto's water crystals. Send love, be love. Be the love that you are made to be. Namaste.